You don't need to be a data scientist to create a Power BI dashboard for your department. If you're a business owner who's buried in Excel spreadsheets and horrid admin work, or you're an analyst or employee who wants to stay relevant and excel in their career, this one is for you. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how I transformed my team's monthly Excel spreadsheet report into a multi-dimensional, dynamic and interactive dashboard. So let's have a look. So we ended up creating a zero-touch report with effortless insights. So let's start with the problem. The problem that you have as a manager or a business owner is that you need business insights to make data-driven decisions. That's why reports exist. No one really likes reports, they're just an essential business function. You can't trust reports at the moment because they're built manually each month. You're paying expensive staff to manually build these reports when they could be performing higher value tasks, and reporting falls mainly on a few key people. So if those people are sick or they leave the company, next month's report is either going to not exist or it's going to look very different from the previous ones. It makes it very hard to create a kind of consistent approach, and your trending goes out the window. If you're an analyst or an employee, you need to stay relevant to the market more now than ever. So if there's a better way of doing things, you need to know what that is. Companies are hiring less, they're reducing overheads, and they're looking to keep their workforce lean. You are creating manual, time-intensive and inflexible reports for your department. So you need to learn what to automate, why, and how if you want to remain attractive to the market. So let's have a look at what the report looked like before. So this was our monthly report before, which someone would do manually, and it was quite time consuming. It took a few hours manually exporting data from our IT service management system, manipulating the data, compiling it, copying and pasting. It was static and one-dimensional, so it only really served that purpose, that one business function. It was single use, so it provided limited insights, and it was fragmented from the other reports and other systems that we had, because of course, for another data point, you would need a separate spreadsheet or at least a separate tab, right? And at this point, I would like to just hit home here that all these automated systems can sometimes sound a little bit daunting, but what I want you to realize is that you already have a lot of business systems with this, Excel. We build business systems using Excel because a lot of us don't really know what other tools to use. It's familiar, it's safe, but it's often not the best tool to use. And I'll show you why. So what does it look like now? Now we have an automated, comprehensive business intelligence system. So let's scroll down and have a look. The original scope was to basically replicate what we were doing already, but automate it. And that's where this page came from. So we've got our monthly position on the department. As you can see there, it says September 2024. That automatically rolled over and displayed that month's data on the 1st of October. So all of this is zero touch. I don't have to do anything. And what that gives us is much better insights into the business, and it looks a hell of a lot better. It's more professional and it costs us a fraction of the time, right? So this was a fully automated high-level monthly position on the entire department. The data automatically is synchronized with our IT service management tool overnight. It provides a consistent professional presentation with greater trending capabilities. As you can see in the top left there, we can report trending by month. And as I'm about to show you, it's multi-dimensional. So whereas before it was, again, a little bit single use, single dimension, here we can now report on lower levels of data. So we can look at our incidents, our problem, our survey, audit, etc. This, for example, you can get tailored insights, right? Obviously, I've obfuscated the data here because that's sensitive to the company, but we have relevant data points which are customized for each business function. Problem management, for example, in this case, this displays a clear position on IT problems which articulates how many people are affected and when the last person to be affected was. So this is really, really useful data that's custom for problem, because if you have a problem logged and no one's raised an incident in the last couple of weeks, is it because that problem isn't happening anymore, or have people just stopped reporting it? So this gives you that information up front without you having to dig and figure that out. So let's move on to the interactive and intuitive design element of the dashboard. It's essentially an app. So it's an app-like experience which allows you to follow your curiosity, integrate and dig through your data, which you can't do with a spreadsheet. And it integrates with other systems too. So for example, this is looking at our incidents. If I were to click on one of those incident numbers, it would actually open up the service management tool and guide me directly to the incident in question. So that allows me to interrogate the data and then take a look at that extra lower level of that data on the ticket itself by just clicking on it. It has extensive and layered filtering capabilities, so I could use these filters up the top, or I can actually use the visuals themselves. I can click on parts of this pie chart and that would filter out those tickets in the table you see below, which are relevant to that category. And it allows you to tell a story with your data and gain clarity on your department's performance with ease. So hopefully that's given you some insights on the before and after. So why is this the solution? For managers and business owners, you get accurate, comprehensive and consistent visual insights. It's always up to date, it's always available. You can also share this with people. If you've got someone above you who's always asking you, oh, how's this looking? How's that looking? You can literally just give them a link to the dashboard and they can see themselves. Or you can take a screenshot of it and send it to them. It looks great and it just takes a second. There are incredibly low overheads to this. So obviously you need the skill set to design and build it. But once the upfront work is done, the operational overheads moving forward are minimal. This takes me 0 minutes per month to maintain. I obviously have to work on it to add things, but I'll come on to that a little bit later. So it provides you a solid base of understanding for you to make decisions from. As an analyst or an employee, you are no longer spending all of your time manually exporting data, editing spreadsheets, copying and pasting. And this is one of the reasons why I looked at this, because I spent too many years of my life doing manual data manipulation work and I was getting bored of it, and I wanted to find a way of getting the same or better outcome, but for a fraction of my time. You get clearer insights for you to analyze and find other areas for improvement in your department. So if you imagine how much you're going to stand out in the crowd, where not only have you created this dashboard, but you're now using it to spot trends, spot other problems, and then going to fix them. The ability to build out the scope of your reporting without growing operational overheads. So what I mean by this is, the reason why this has grown so much, this grew from like 8 data points to over 20, I think, is because it takes time for me to build out those extra components, but it still takes me 0 minutes per month to maintain. Whereas if you were using a manual way, the bigger it builds, the more stuff you have to do daily, weekly, monthly to maintain it and update all that data. So you obtain an incredibly valuable skill set from this, and it introduces you to the world of automation. Power BI and ITSM tools introduced me to the world of automation, and this has fueled my interest and desire to learn even more and even start my business. This makes you way more valuable than you were before. So it allows your team to be much more responsive as well and exceed your customers' expectations. We get it quite a lot where someone says, oh, I'm hearing a lot of noise from this application in our team, or, oh, there's a project that's just been made live like 2 months ago and we were having a lot of teething issues with it. Has that calmed down, or are we still seeing them? And with a few clicks, you can get the insights you need without having to translate and manipulate data. You have access to the information that you want. It's never looked better. It's never been more accurate. It's never been easier to use. And that, again, that has a ripple effect when it comes to your interactions with your management and your customers. It helps you in both directions. So moving on to the last element I want to touch on here, the future. How is this going to affect the future, and what does that hold for organizations and business owners? There's never been a higher demand for operational efficiency and adoption of automation and AI. It's becoming a much more competitive economy. And there's a stronger focus on systems-driven operations, reducing human error and improving output and efficiency. We're essentially in a scenario of survival of the leanest here. So if your competitors are doing this, imagine what they're doing with the time they've freed up. They're going to be working on their marketing, they're going to be working on their positioning, they're going to be strengthening their product, because they're spending less time on the ground doing the stuff which essentially a computer or a system is doing for them. We are starting to see the multiplier effect of technology to a level that we hadn't seen before. I think in my experience, and I've seen this is empowering way more of your workforce to build systems, because in the past that was reserved for your developers and your systems teams. This stuff allows essentially anyone whether they're an admin person, whether they're an analyst, to build their own system. And you will therefore see the leverage that you saw when building out other systems. If you're an employee or an analyst, how is this going to affect you for the future? Well, there's already a high demand for technology and automation focused employees. Gone are the days where you can join a company, figure out how to use the system, get trained up, and then just repeat that task, be that cog in the machine for years and years and years, and then retire. Like, those days are over because the world has changed. So if you want to remain employable, you're going to have to look at things completely differently. Instead of you looking at yourself as someone who is a task completer, you need to start looking at yourself as someone who is responsible for something and as someone who can design, build and maintain these systems that perform a business function, that provide an outcome for the business. As soon as you shift your perspective to that, you will become 5-10 times more valuable to a company than someone who doesn't think like that. So there's a stronger focus on hiring staff who can build and maintain systems to manage responsibilities rather than staff who perform tasks manually. It equips you with powerful and demanded skills and experience, and it allows you to become much more resourceful, valuable and employable. Once you change your way of thinking, that unlocks all this potential in you that previously wasn't there. You look at other tools you can leverage. You look at other things to automate. If I can automate reporting, what else can I automate? And I'll come onto that in future videos. And ultimately, whether you're looking to start your own business or not, it prepares you for entrepreneurship because we are living through some troubling times at the moment. There are more redundancies happening than I've ever seen before. But there's also more opportunity than I've ever seen before. And the opportunity to run a solo business, which brings in a substantial income and with high profit margins, has never been higher than right now. Because imagine if you have all these systems in place, this is just one of them for reporting, but if you had way more systems in place for your marketing, for your client acquisition, for your delivery, you do not need a team as big as you used to. So by now you should be able to see the impact of this dashboard in this particular scenario and how we're able to get so much more value from it at a fraction of the cost. This is just one of many automation-driven business systems I've designed and built, and I'll be sharing more with you over the coming weeks and months. Now, you might be feeling one or two ways about what I just showed you. You might feel excited about the technology we have available to us, and you might see this as an opportunity to get your hands dirty. You might see it as an opportunity to learn how these tools work and become someone businesses want on their side. On the flip side, you might be clinging onto your spreadsheets and scared that you will be replaced or made irrelevant by someone else who has these skills. The reality is, if you're not learning how to build these systems, other people are. And in the current economy, my recommendation would be make yourself as valuable as you possibly can. We're entering an age of the AI and automation revolution. This has happened before with the agricultural revolution and the industrial revolution after that. These three revolutions have the same things in common. They were technology-led, the standard of work output was redefined each time, and those who adapted thrived. Those who didn't do too well. So if you are still buried in spreadsheets while systems like this exist, it's the equivalent of picking wheat by hand when you've got a combine harvester sat in the shed. If you want to know how to build confidence in your personal and professional life, you want to become a systems builder, or you want to help with IT systems, follow my Instagram below or comment on this video and I'll see if I can help. I'll see you in the next one.